Hello again. We're going to study for a few minutes, trying to keep this a little more than 10 minutes at the most, 10 to 15. Anyway, last time we were talking about determining who false prophets were. Jesus warned that they would come as sheep in, they would come as wolves in sheep's clothing. Of course, sheep look very innocent, harmless, and inside he said they are ravening wolves. So we want to be careful because we cannot go by what they look like, how good they are, how nice they look, all of those things. You can listen to the previous lesson on that. And then the series is called Determining False Prophets. Let's talk about false prophets just a minute. Peter, in his second book, writes to the church. Okay, these epistles are always written to believers or to the church. And he says this, but there were false prophets also among the people. He's referring to the Old Testament people. There were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you. So he said they're going to come in. It's not good to just accept everything because they label themselves as Christian and just say, okay, they're a Christian, so who am I to judge? Well, the Bible says they're going to come in as wolves in sheep's clothing, and so we've got to watch out. Anyway, let me continue here. There shall be false teachers among you who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. So the false teachers are not going to like the truth. They're going to bring in what Peter said is damnable doctrines or teachings, and they're going to speak evil of the truth. So just because I've heard people say, well, that group's a cult, speaking of the way that I personally believe. So they're going to speak evil of those things, so be careful. Also, John, in his second epistle to the church that he wrote, says this, little children, it is the last time, and as you have heard that Antichrist shall come, even now are there many antichrists, whereby know that it is the last time. When we talk about the Antichrist, we typically think of this world leader that's going to rule the world in perhaps near future. But John, who is the only one that ever really uses the term Antichrist, any of the writers, is not referring to a man at all. He's talking about a spirit. And so he said there are many of these Antichrist spirits already at work in his time. But he goes on to describe just a little bit more about them. They went out from us. Now again, he's speaking as a leader of the church, as an apostle of the church, and he said the spirits of Antichrist went out from us, or the church. So where did it happen? Even as Peter said, they will arise from within. John is saying they're going to arise from within. They went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would no doubt have continued with us, but they went out that they might be made manifest that they were not all of us. Okay, so when he's speaking of us, he's talking about the original apostles, the original church is going to find from within these teachers that we're going to label false teachers, false apostles, false prophets, and they are going to pull aside many people. if that's going to happen, we should know something about when these kinds of things happened. And in other words, when were people pulled aside from the original teachings of the apostle to something else? And history will verify when that happens. I'm going to read a little more of what John says, skipping over to the 4th chapter. He says, "Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God." Okay, so when we hear that, most people I have heard comment on this refer to spirits as these demonic presences that you may encounter. Maybe I don't know whether you feel it in the night or have a dream or some fearful thing comes along and where you're supposed to check out these spirits. But John goes on a little more to help us to identify. Help us to identify how these spirits identify. And so the rest of that verse says, "Because many false prophets are gone out into the world." So he says, try the spirits because many false prophets are gone out into the world. So he's saying that the spirits and the false prophets are working together. And so how do you test that? Well, Jesus said you'll know them by their fruits. And referring back to last time's lesson, we learned that it's what a person teaches that reproduces their convert that is the real fruit of their ministry. And I could get into a lot. We're going to go move on though. Okay, I'm going to move on. Hereby know, this is verse 2, hereby know ye the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesseth that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God. And every spirit that confesseth not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is not of God. And this is that spirit of Antichrist, whereof you have heard that it should come, and even now already is in the world. Okay, I'm not going to go into that much farther, but the point being that the spirits that are working within the church are spirits of teachings, and they are spirits of false prophets and false apostles, false pastors. Again, a false teacher is not going to reproduce a convert of truth. He's going to reproduce a convert of deception. Their converts are deceived, and nowhere more importantly than the plain, basic, bottom line plan of salvation. If Satan's going to attack the church, he's going to attack it at the very core of its belief. Now, there are a lot of things that we may not agree entirely on. That you know, they'll all be sorted out. The coming of the Lord is one of those things. We're going to see how that plays out. A lot of people have a lot of different ideas about it, but we're talking today about the very core belief of salvation. So I'm just going to leave that false prophet subject for a little bit, for the rest of this video even. I'm going to John chapter 17. Chapter 17. Jesus in this chapter is praying for his disciples or his apostles. They're about to become apostles. And so he's praying for them. And as he does, he reveals some things that are very interesting. Verse number 9 says, and again, he's praying for his apostles. I pray for them, his apostles. I pray not for the world. So Jesus isn't going out and he's not praying for the entire world. He says, I am praying for my apostles, because the apostles are key to reaching the world for who I died for. But he didn't pray for the whole world as a whole. He prayed for his apostles. Why would he do that? Again, I just said that because it's through them that the world is going to come to know Jesus. It's through them and the words that they speak. I'm going to continue here. I pray for them. I pray not for the world, but for them which thou hast given me, for they are thine. All right, so these apostles are God's, and they're going to be God's instruments. They are going to be those that are sent to the world to preach the truth. So the original apostles preached the truth to the world. Verse 15 of the same chapter says, chapter 17 of John, I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world, but that thou shouldest keep them from the evil. He says, don't take them out because they've got to be here. Somebody's got to tell everybody the truth, because there's going to come up a lot of false prophets and teachers. But these apostles are going to go out with truth. I'm going to continue reading verse 16. They are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. So their message is not of the world. It won't be a message that people are going to receive easily or welcomingly. Okay. Again, reading back 17, verse 17. Sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth. Separate them. Sanctify them. Use them to your purpose. The word sanctification is to be set aside for the purpose of God. How's that going to happen? Through thy truth. Are the apostles going to preach the truth? Are they going to teach the truth? Absolutely they are. Then it goes on and it says thy word is truth. So it's this book, the Bible. Are they going to be faithful to what it says? Are we going to let it be the governing factor in our decisions? Or are we going to let religion and peer pressure and what everybody else believes, or a multitude of other thoughts that come? No, we're going to need to let the truth be shown to us. The apostles are those, those that God has chosen to do that. Verse 18, as thou hast sent me into the world, even so I also send them into the world. So Jesus was sent, the apostles are sent. The word apostle comes from the Greek word apostello. It means to send. Jesus is sending these apostles. And for their sakes I sanctify myself, and they also might be sanctified through the truth. Neither pray I for these alone. Okay, so he said, I don't pray for the world a little bit ago. And he says, I'll pray for the apostles. And then he says, I don't pray for these alone, but listen to who he does pray for them. Pray for. Verse 20 again, neither pray I for these alone, but for them also which shall believe on me. Oh, that doesn't end there though. They shall believe on me through their word. Who's there? Whose word is their word? The apostles' words. Jesus states very clearly that people will believe on him through the words of his apostles. Now, I'm trying to keep, again, this is needing to be short because I know that there are a lot of videos out there, and it's not like you're going to want to listen for an hour. What I'm trying to do is keep it short, so that's what I'm doing. Remember, wolves in sheep's clothing appear to be good teachers of the word, but they are wolves on the inside. The only ones that we can trust, according to the words of Jesus, we've got to go back to those apostles. They're the original conveyors of this message, and that message is true. And when we veer from that message, we have slipped away. We'll continue this subject next time. Thank you so much for listening. God bless you.